Welcome to the Kee To Growth Podcast, Home Services Marketing Unlocked, with me, your host, Jen McKee. Every week, I sit down with top marketers in the trades, from the brains behind $100 million companies to those scaling from 1 to 3, even to 10 million, breaking down exactly how they got where they are and uncover the secret to their success. If you're ready to grow your business and get real, actionable insights, you are in the right place. Let's unlock the key to your marketing success, starting now. Welcome back to the Kee To Growth Podcast. I am your host, Jen McKee, and today we have such an incredible guest. If you are the owner of a plumbing HVAC company, you're going to want to listen to this episode and hear all of the things that Lawrence DeHart has to share with us. I'm so lucky that we get to work with Lawrence because we get a behind the scenes look into all of the great things that he's doing. But let's start with just him introducing himself. So who are you? Where are you from? Tell us about your company and all of those things.
My name's Lawrence DeHart. I am from a little town called Manhattan, Kansas, also known as the Little Apple. It's a kind of small town America, centralized Kansas, with a pocket of little communities all around. And I started and own a plumbing, heating, and cooling company here locally that's thriving and growing constantly and looking to expand into much larger markets, hopefully. Yeah. And I started my business from literally nothing. That's me.
I'm so happy to have you on here because I think that you do a lot of things right. But let's start at the beginning because it's so easy to be like, oh, yeah, but look at where he's at now. Now he has money to spend on things and team to do these things. But where did this start and how did you even get customers when you had nothing?
Oh, Lord. It's funny. You say I do a lot of things right. In my little world, I am constantly feeling like I need to do better, grow more. You're not doing things good enough. So I've never quite succeeded in being comfortable in those statements because I feel like there's so much more work to be done. But in the beginning,
Probably why you're successful because you're not comfortable. You're still pushing.
oh, yeah, I am constantly leaving. As soon as I start to feel like, okay, mission accomplished, all of a sudden I've created a whole nother mission of complication for myself. But in the very beginning, so my company, it really started off of desperation and needing work and needing money. And I had been an experienced plumber for quite some time, but I was just at a low point in my life. Long story short, I was a single dad. I lost my job as a plumber and nobody was hiring me. And I didn't have a lot of options and opportunities. So really my first customers gained I have this business card here. This is the very first business card that I mustered up my little bit of like $20. I went to Vistaprint. I made this, ordered me 500 cards and walked neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And introduced myself to everybody to do anything that I could to just be given that opportunity to go work in somebody's house. And the first call I went to, I was so excited. I went by Home Depot real quick. I got Lavender Fabuloso because in my mind, I was like, okay, I got to clean up really good, whatever I work on. I need to look professional, need to be happy and personable. I can't look like when people think plumber, often we think of butt crack hanging out, smelly, unprofessional, underpaid. And I got to flip that stereotype and make sure that when I knock on the door, I'm happy, I'm personable, I clean up on everything I work on, but I also look professional too. And so what I thought was just basic fundamentals in the beginning, building a good relationship, having gratitude, being kind to the customer, cleaning up after myself and wearing shoe covers. To me in the beginning, this was common sense things.
Yeah.
What I quickly realized is I was providing the customer with an experience that they weren't used to. And so my first call was my first 5-star review. And I was on top of the world leaving that house because I work on their toilet and their toilet was pretty dirty. And I was of the mind of, well, I'm going to leave this toilet sparkling. I worked on it. I'm going to make sure. So, the bathroom smelled of Lavender Fabuloso. I wanted to make my staple of, I worked on your toilet because of how clean it is. That's how I'm going to leave my mark at every house. And that's just those kind of basic fundamentals I quickly realized was separating me from what they were used to. And so people, before you know it, I'm working on the neighbors and the other neighbors. And I just kind of rapidly grew from there.
So as you got bigger and you had to hire more people and you have somewhat, of a large team right now, it's definitely,
32
how that's awesome. How do you keep that type of, from the beginning, what were your thoughts in hiring people? I know it's hard as owners for us to give up control, especially when you're building it on relationship and Like, how did you get that through their head, and do they still do that?
Oh man, you got to understand that before my company, I had no formal training of how to be a good leader, how to motivate and encourage people, how to run a company, let alone anything else. I didn't know any of this stuff. And I based a lot of my experiences in my life off of how I was treated previously.
Mhm.
All of my other bosses weren't very good bosses. I didn't have good benefits. I didn't have motivation. I didn't have any of that stuff. So I tried to kind of base my experience off of, okay, well, I know what it's like to have a cruddy boss. So why don't I not be that and try to switch it up? And my very first employee, of course, you touched base on it. The hardest part about it is learning how to kind of let go. Because at some point in your growth, you have to take a step back and focus on your operations. And, I'm a knuckle dragger. Like, I'm a new construction plumber. That is my background. And learning how to, like, I just understood right away, like, I am not going to grow if I have to be the only guy that's competent that can work in the field and build relationships. I have to invest in my employees right away and strive to make them better than me, all the while also striving to make myself better. So for me, it was the fundamentals was relationship building. I mean, you understand, my first employee, their experience was showing up. My mom was my very first employee, so I don't really count her as
And
my
versus
first.
the beginning.
Yeah, yeah. So she's the first person I hired to answer the phones when I started getting too busy. But the first helper or technician that I had working with me, we would sit down and eat breakfast with my mom every morning at her trailer. We'd meet at her trailer, and so, like, those stayed as our fundamentals. That, Mama D cooking Wednesday morning breakfast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They would have always continued. But those were some of those fundamentals where you got to build a tight relationship. Then I also understood that I can't just make any employee that works with me, they can't just be a tool grabber. They've got to understand why, how, what the plan is, see what I'm doing, see the relationship I'm building, the smile I have, the trying to get that 5-star review at the end, teach them how to be a great plumber and all the little nuances that I thought were important things that help give that customer a better relationship and a better experience. So really right away, I invested heavily in my employees in the goal of trying to make them better than me so that I can grow and get another employee. And maybe eventually this guy can be in a van and he's seen and worked with me. He knows how to build that relationship. So it's going to be a good segue to branch him on. And so it was investing heavily in my employee at every moment, every day, all the time, with the hopes that they would at least try to emulate a lot of the things that I was having success with when in the customer's home.
Yeah. I mean, I think you guys still have that reputation. Is that something that you now have at some courses that they take, or is it just like your training passed down, or like how are you measuring that and keeping that? And I think honestly, just from what we can see from the pictures and videos of your culture, it still stems from you and how you treat your team. But how do you teach that now at this level?
Well, it starts with being genuine and honest. When I want to share a comment, we recently had Jason Walker come to visit, and he said something to me that meant a lot. And what he said is, typically, there's companies where I'll see their online presence of building a good relationship and having good culture. But what he's found is often they don't actually have a good culture. It's just a persona that they put up. And
Interesting.
with us, he's like, this is real. The team and culture you're building, it's not just for show. This is legit. You really are a tight group. And it all starts with me. When I walk into this building, I am genuinely excited to see my employees. The handshakes, the hugs. I hug nearly every one of my employees, or they come up and hug me. It's just a morning thing. I take the time to invest, build people up. And but it's not always all flowers. There's a lot of accountability too. A big part of having a good team is also not allowing dysfunction. And that's something that was hard for me to learn. It wasn't always what it looks like now. A lot of times I let dysfunction run rampant in my business. I would let people show up late constantly with no consequence because I got tired of fighting the fight of, my God, you know what to do and you're still not doing it. And I would get frustrated and get tired of fighting these battles all the time. And at some point, I just came to the conclusion that I have to operate in a world of ultimate accountability.
Yeah.
For myself and my employees. So, now as the owner, I'm not in the field working, but I'm managing all the time and protecting my team. And holding everybody accountable to our processes and procedures every single day. And so what that's allowed is a lot of the dysfunction or kind of people that don't mesh well, I really try to either work on it or weed them out and make sure that I protect the quality of the people that work here. That's made a huge impact for me.
That's great. And thanks for sharing that, because I think that it's easy to think that it's always been great when you see it where it is now. So it's good to know that.
I have gone through like every phase from being a hyper aggressive boss that I always built. I think I've always been really good at building a close relationship, but there is an extended period of time where I lacked a lot of emotional control and I didn't do the type of leadership traits that I was expecting from my employees. And if I don't have my act together, there is no way I can expect my team to act right. If I can't handle hard situations in a responsible way where I don't act out, I don't show frustration, I can't expect my team to act that way, you know?
For sure.
So
Yeah.
a lot of this journey has been also me working on myself. And I think that's where a lot of management and ownership lose is they don't grow. They don't look in the mirror. They don't recognize that a lot of the problems you're having in your business are your fault. It is all your fault. What are you going to do to grow and be better?
For sure. Who are some of your favorite mentors or books or things that you're watching or consuming on your growth journey?
So in January 2024, I started to really feel like my business was growing outside of my capabilities. And I promised myself, okay, you've gotten where you are now with just your brain and nothing else. I think it's time that you quit doing this to yourself. You need to grow and develop yourself. And so I attended a course from a company called BDR. It was just a business class. And that midway into that class, I kind of had an epiphany that, holy cow, I've been holding myself back. There's so much to learn and understand about business. And so from that moment, I started to kind of really dig in to learning more. And I don't remember the gentleman's name, but it was a course about leadership hosted at the Service World Expo, the expo that just happened, not too late last year. And he was just talking about accountability and leadership and how we should conduct ourselves. And again, halfway through that class, I was just like having an epiphany of why haven't I been doing these things years ago? I'd be so much further ahead. I really need to start taking self accountability and inventory. I wish I knew the guy's name, but it was a phenomenal course that provided a lot of value to me. But really, it was about hyper accountability and how you need to accept that everything that's going on in your life that's not the way you want it is your fault, and what are you going to do about it? But the other thing that resonated to me too is I have absolute control of my emotions at all times. I am in control of how I react, how I feel, how I let people make me feel. And when I came to terms with that, life started getting a lot better. But to answer your question, that segued into me wanting to reach out more about leadership. And Chris Collins, I let my buddy borrow the book, but he's got this really good book called I Am Leader. And that book has been just profound for me. It's made me a better father, a better owner, a better spouse. About every angle of my life, I've made substantial improvements. But a lot of it is just learning how to calm down that little person in there that wants to get wound up on and letting myself just think clearly about situations, moments, and when something happens to take inventory. Like, why are you getting upset? Is it worth it? Should you be getting upset? Is getting angry going to fix anything? What positive comes of this? Typically, the answer is nothing. So why don't you just calm down and think it through and come up with a good solution?
Yeah, for sure. I think that being an entrepreneur and a business owner is a test of self. And so it's always like a deep dive into who you are. And then as a parent too, like, my goodness, there's so many lessons that it's all about managing little people and teaching them boundaries. And there's just so many similarities in the leadership and parenting. And sometimes I forget that. And then I start to see the parallels and I'm like, man, I need to start applying some of what I know in this part of my life.
I know they go hand in hand. And there's just so many moments in my life where I let my ego take over, and it
Mhm.
wasn't allowing me to think right.
Yeah.
And that comes down to if somebody says something disrespectful to me, for a long time, I would match that energy
Yeah.
and say something disrespectful back. And I just refuse to do that now. You're not going to affect my peace. And I am not going to rev up or act in an irrational way about anything. I'm talking if somebody cuts me off on the road when I'm driving, oh, well, what's the point of getting worked up? What's it going to do good for me?
Definitely.
So if my son talks back to me, I reevaluate how I handle those things.
Yeah.
It's been amazing. I wish that I'd had somebody that had like some leadership skills developed in my life that could have squared me away years ago. But
It happens when it's supposed to. Definitely. It works out the way it's supposed to. Now you get to be that for someone else too.
yeah, and it's really awesome too, especially in my position. I can see when I have like an impact on somebody where I was able to kind of resonate and get that aha moment from them where they're going, you're completely right. And I love that because I'm providing them with something that I desperately wish I could have had 10 years ago that I never got to have. Or I get to also provide that type of mentality to my children. So maybe, they cannot repeat a lot of the mistakes I made throughout my life. You just pass some of that, help them some of their processes.
Breaking generational curses. So I obviously this is a big part of y'all's success, but I don't want to not talk about your marketing because you guys just do so many great things. So what is something that you think has really moved the needle the most when it comes to your marketing, or something that you tried and it was just like, man, that was awesome. Like we need to do that again.
So I had always viewed Facebook as a unique opportunity to be with the customer every day and in their homes with them every day. And, in the beginning, I used to kind of like over analyze and over worry about the quality of the video, what I was saying, how I was saying it. And at some point, I just stop caring about the little nuances of this like perceived perfection, like it had to be a professional commercial that you see on TV, and I just wanted them to get to know me
Yeah.
and see where that took us.
Mhm.
And it worked really well for a long time. And it gave us a major advantage
Yeah.
because in my market, when I first started my company, a part of my secret sauce was that I was the only guy or competitor that had any type of Facebook.
Mm.
On top of that, I was the only one talking to people on it,
Yeah.
sharing videos of our work, our culture, our daily shenanigans. And so it created a world to where people would see me at the grocery store and almost treat me like I'm famous. And were so excited that I was coming to like, oh my God, you're the owner? I see you on Facebook everywhere. And they were so like thrilled that I showed up to their house. I almost like kind of became a local celebrity. So there's an army base right next to us, Fort Riley, Kansas. And we were showing up. There was some show, like a trade show type thing happening on the army base. And I'm going through, they got these little checkouts where you got to drive onto base and get a pass to get onto the military base.
Mhm.
And the one guy delivering the pass, few of my employees were with me, and the guy sees me and goes, oh my God, you're Lawrence. You're the owner? And he starts losing it.
That's so
Like,
funny.
like wanted an autograph. And my employees were saying, are you kidding me right now?
That is so
And
funny.
but that's the power of marketing or just having your social media is that
Yeah.
it gives your customers a good opportunity to get to know who you are if you run it right. It's no cheap. That big here. Yeah.
You even so I said at the beginning that we now help DeHart because Lawrence can't be the one just putting everything up there all the time. Although you guys are so great at getting great content, which is what helps your social media still be powerful. But even when we started working with you guys, your TikTok, you had already grown, and it's because of the exact same thing, because you just started talking to people and you still do that. And I love too that you said like you don't let people get to you because Lawrence and DeHart has a lot of videos that go viral pretty often. Like I would say a couple times a month, something will take off and there'll be just a ton of comments. And Lawrence will go through and you'll respond to so many of them, even the people who are just being jerks. But your responses are always so good and they're not at all meeting them at their level. It's instead a lot of times just showing up with a lot of compassion and even question, which I love. But I think a lot of people struggle with that, like you have a video that goes viral and people can be really mean, especially in like we know, like I know, like these people, they don't mean anything when they're being like meaning like it's not about us, like it's not about you. about them. But how do you deal with that? How do you, get your mind right and respond to these people?
Ego. Got to let it go.
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter. They're feeding me more content. And so
Right.
I do want to remind everyone that this stuff used to bother me. It would affect me a lot. Not being able to have control of, because sometimes stuff they say is so stupid or makes no sense, but they're so matter of fact about how like this was done wrong and that was done wrong. It used to bother me. I used to try to control it or delete a post or delete what they were saying. But unless it's vulgar now, I just let it rip. Say what you're going to say, let a bunch of other people talk. I just had to let go of any of the negativity of it and just truly get to a point where I didn't care and use it as a tool to get more comments and say more things. There are videos that I would intentionally leave like a nugget that was incorrect because I know it would drive people crazy, or say something that was very manufactured specific. I knew this was 100% right, waiting to respond with the video proving them wrong, knowing that they were going to say something and that I could educate even further on it. So I try to have a little bit of fun with it. You just can't let it get to you. I would just try to rabbit trail. Why is it making you mad? What's the core reason you're getting upset with whatever they're saying? Does it really matter? How does it impact you? Can you play with it? Can you make something more out of it? Can you do another video off of it? You have opportunity in a lot of that negativity.
Yeah, for sure. And so I think a lot of owners struggle with like how you find the time or how you even, I know you said like at the beginning, it just took like letting go of what it was going to be and just talking to the camera. But how do you find the time to do it? Like, is it in your schedule or is it just like, oh, I know I need to do this today, so I'm going to get it done? How do you get your team engaged? Your team is very willing to be in pictures and videos. And I mean, probably stems from you, but
finding the time can be hard. At one point, it was easy to get content when I was in the field all the time, but finding the time was easy at one point. Now I got kind of nothing but excuses for not having the time. To post and engage as much as I know I need to. But that's why I've got you on my team now, because you help keep me accountable. And give me goals, but also help keep up on something that I know is so important. So I try to every day pluck away, because you've got the list. I think is it an Excel spreadsheet? It's a spreadsheet.
it's like a Google.
And so in the Google sheet, I try to pluck away at least one thing a day. I'll pick something, even if it is something simple, like, okay, I need to get this done before noon, and prioritize it and send it over to Bree so she has something. So that is my goal right now, is to do at least one thing a day. And I got plenty to pick from with your list of stuff. And it could be something complicated, or I could pick something simple. And then as far as my team, I've never had an issue getting my team to be a part of my videos, but it's also kind of a part of who we are. I have always done videos from the moment it was just me. So anyone that comes into these doors, this is just it. This is what it is. This is all they know is, me being a big doofus, recording videos, running around the shop everywhere. That's just who we are and a part of our culture. So that's probably why I've never had much of an issue with people being a part of our videos and being a kind of a team buy-in on that.
Yeah. And I think really for anybody that's not a part of their culture, it just takes like starting and then eventually it becomes. And I think it's the same, like, you guys were doing social media before you started working with us. And so we just got to, light a fire underneath it and keep it going. But the whole point is that it does take time. It takes overtime. And we see that with everything that you did, like that you guys have the same customers that you've had since the beginning of you starting, and that over time you've built this loyalty. What do you guys do to keep your past customers engaged right now?
Engaged in
do you do outbound calling? Do you have them in email? Do you send them letters? Like, how do you guys coming back?
So some of the little things is we have a monthly newsletter, and I'm very conscious with that newsletter. I don't ever ask for anything. I try to give information, give knowledge. I want it to be something that they want to pay attention to. So I'm always giving in those newsletters, whether it's a raffle or a reward, gift card, good information of things to take care of around your house. So there are definitely a lot of outbound calls. If the phones don't ring, we have got to be calling out. Outbound calls, contacting people is really important. We also use a company called Chirp as well. We've kind of recently integrated integrated them into a lot of our outbound text messages. We seem to have a good amount of success with text messaging versus
Yeah.
say phone calls or email. Those are ways that we reach out to people on a regular basis. I hope that answers what you were looking for.
Yeah, no, that's great. Okay, so at the end of the Key to Growth podcast, we ask everyone the same question. And that question is, what is the key to growth?
Build a relationship with your customer that's meaningful and genuine. You have to be genuine from your heart. Speak with your heart and build clean, great relationships with your customers. That will always win. That's how you get people to call you back. That's how you grow your business.
Yep, I love that. Okay, so tell everybody where they can find you or learn more about DeHart online.
But yeah, so our Facebook page is always a great start. It's DeHart Plumbing. TikTok, DeHart,
Mhm.
DeHartPhC. TikTok, you can get a lot of videos and content there too. If you're another owner, hopefully maybe you'll see my videos and it can encourage you to put something out there today. Let go. Don't worry so much about the quality or what the video is going to look like. Put something out there. Do it every now and again. You'll get more and more comfortable with it. Then you'll start talking better and formulate sentences better when you're under the pressure of a camera. But just let go and put something out there, please.
For sure. Such great advice. Thank you so much, Lawrence. This was a really awesome conversation.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.